You live from our Platinum High studios here at Northridge in Accra. This morning we begin with Liberia, and vote counting has begun in the country in a runoff presidential election between Vice President Joseph Boakai and former international footballer George Weah. Mr. Weah, 51, won the first round but did not secure the required 50% of the vote for an outright victory. Legal challenges delayed the vote to replace Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Africa's first elected female president. Turnout seems to have been low, but the result is expected to lead to the first smooth transfer of power in 73 years. More than 2 million people were eligible to cast their ballot in the nation of 4.6 million people, founded by freed U.S. slaves in the 19th century. Now, the result is expected later this week. Now, the contest, we know that is between Mr. Boakai and former top-flight footballer Mr. Weah, and it has been a stop-start exercise beset with legal wrangling. Mr. Boakai, 73, has been Liberia's vice president for 12 years, but does not seem to enjoy the support of his boss. Let's maintain our focus on Liberia, and we know that the country has escaped the jaws of war and has a chance to heal itself once more. Now, after a successful election in October, Liberia faces another democratic test which will eventually define the direction of the West African country. My colleague William Evans Inkum has details in the following report.
Liberia, a country still rising from the rubbles of a civil war, which almost ripped the economy apart. With a population of about 6 million, the country is still grappling with certain basic challenges. Only about 30% of the country is connected to the national grid. The slower pace of development has been blamed on past corrupt administrations which plunged the country into almost an ending war. As I walk through the streets of Monrovia, the capital, I see a large monopolized economy. About 90% of the products on the market are imported.
Liberia is a very virgin territory, and I think that one of the major things the next president has to do is how to attract investment into Liberia.
On 12 September 2014, the then United Nations Secretary General, Ban Ki-moon, appointed Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers as his special representative and head of the UN Office for West Africa. Prior to his appointment, between 2002 and 2005, he was involved in the ECOWAS mediation efforts in Liberia.
As far as these elections are concerned, the UN has provided all the technical support. We have worked very closely with other partners, the ECOWAS, the African Union, the EU, and other bilateral friends of Liberia to mobilize the necessary resources to ensure that all that needs to be in place to deliver credible elections have been put in place.
He tells me the United Nations has been giving some technical support to Liberia to resuscitate the economy. But the mission will soon end. The onus of responsibility lies in the next administration to correct the wrongs.
The UN is here for the long haul. It is true that at this point we're in a transition because we are in a phase of drawing down the current UN mission in Liberia.
On October 10, Liberia went to the polls, a peaceful elections, although the countdown exposed some challenges.
Well, some of the issues they have raised, they've been concerned about the number of ballots we have brought into the country. Yes, they're saying that the ballots we have brought in are too many. But as we have tried to tell them that each polling place has usually is meant to register up to 500 persons. And so therefore, to make reconciling easy, we have assigned 550 ballots to each polling place.
Stakes were high as parties concluded their campaigns 2 days to the elections.
Unemployment is over 75%, and we have a major balance of payment crisis. The exchange rate has gone through the roof. Our economy is doing very poorly, and so just everything isn't working. There's nothing you can say that's really working.
There are a lot of policies I want to push that will make Liberia a better place, because you cannot run this nation without an educated society, and so education stands as a #1 on my platform.
26 political parties, over 2 million registered voters, 2,080 voting precincts, 5,390 polling stations. On election day, all activities came to a halt. A dead street, but long queues at polling stations.
They should do it free and fair. We don't want no cheating, because we're here for peace. We're tired with war. We don't want to go back to war again. So we ask them that they do it free and fair.
After 6 p.m., polls closed and provisional results trickled in. A deadlock. The media itching for final results, but to no avail. There was suspense in the camp of the Coalition for Democratic Change, a party led by former footballer GHOne.
As we speak to you to the southeast, Maryland have fallen to us, Grand Crew have fallen to us, Grand G have fallen to us, River G has fallen to us, Sanod have fallen to us. So as we speak to you now, the whole southeast have fallen to us, and we speak to you, Bunkanted also is on our belt, Mount Gibby, and we are very competitive in Grand Bassa, and we just information just reading, you see people are jubilating. Grand Kitma, who happen to be a very stronghold of the Unity Party.
After 2 weeks, results was declared by the National Elections Commission. George Oponwia's CDC had 38.4%. Joseph Nyuma Boakai of the UP had 28.8%, while Liberty Party's Charles Walker Brumskine had 9.6% of total votes. The runoff is scheduled for December 26, following a Supreme Court ruling brought to it by the Liberty Party over electoral infractions. Between Mr. Weah and Vice President Boakai, whoever wins has a task to transform the Liberian economy, where the teeming youth want nothing but jobs. William Evans Inkum, GHOne News.
And you can trust GHOne TV to bring you more updates as and when there are results trickling in from Liberia. Let's come back to Ghana. As you celebrated Boxing Day yesterday, did you give a thought to street kids and what becomes of them on this day? Now, they stand in street corners throughout the year to beg for alms when the traffic stops. But on a holiday such as Boxing Day, when the streets are deserted, what happens to the street kids? My colleague Della Michelle has more in the following report.
The origin of Boxing Day can be traced to the early 1830s in the United Kingdom. It was the day for wealthy employers to present gifts to their servants in boxes. The opening of boxes on that day brought about the name Boxing Day. In another tale told about the day during the Advent, Anglicans were made to put their donations for the needy into boxes. On December 26, these boxes were opened and its content was shared with the needy. Both the church boxes and the servant presents definitely existed, although historians disagree on which practice inspired the holiday. Today's Boxing Day festivities have very little to do with charity. Instead, it revolves around food, sports, boxing, visits from friends, and drinking at the pub. But some Ghanaians still believe in the act of giving. Even on this day, some street children in Accra have not been left out in this tradition, as they have also benefited from the benevolence of some individuals and institutions.
Last week Saturday, 50 and go for blood drinks.
For 18-year-old Morgan, who finds shelter on the streets, he is unhappy about spending Christmas without his family, but it is for the better.
When I'm fairly happy, I can bring a coming, I can move few play combat. I say one or two things behind a mom was in the bar. I'm a bar. But fully up with some words in our Bible. As you continue for young as a mean woman, my mother, and you want to continue my minion and some cotton out or hammer I was hammering to my and I'm in the funeral.
At the Medina Market Car Park Tuesday, a group of generous individuals led by Rhea Gonzalez decided to put a smile on the face of some street kids and head porters as well. According to Rhea, it is an annual practice and an opportunity to show kindness to the less privileged in the society.
These are people that have nowhere to sleep, and they wake up during the day to work again, and they go back and they sleep on the floors. And I feel they need to have a comfortable and a relaxing Christmas, at least for them to feel loved, like someone there thinks about them and then wants them to celebrate the Christmas with them, and then also have that rice and chicken kind of experience.
There was food, drinks, reading materials, and of course, some fun. The reason for the season, which is love and giving, will remain relevant throughout the week.
And still on Boxing Day, Patience Atipoka, a tour of our news desk, went round some orphanages to see how the day meant for gift exchange was being marked. Now there is more in this report.
Our first stop was the Teshi Orphanage, where the Vice President on Christmas Day had donated an amount of 10,000 cedis, 100 bags of rice, a fat bull, and 200 cartons of assorted drinks. It was all music on Boxing Day with plenty of food and drinks. Canopies had been erected and the children seated in preparation for a party by a group of young men and women who go by the slogan, God Still Rules. A member of the group spoke.
This is a young team of vibrant gentlemen and beautiful ladies, and we believe we don't have to wait to get millions of money to be able to show love. The little that we have, we can show love to people. We call ourselves God Still Rules, and we believe God is full of love.
The significance of Boxing Day was, however, lost on the children who were just excited to partake in the feast.
Do you know today is Boxing Day? No, you don't know. But yesterday was Christmas.
Yeah.
What is your wish? What do you want to tell your friends?
I wish to give them a gift.
You wish to give them a gift?
Yes.
So you give it to them when you go to school?
That's first.
Please, to witness a birthday party.
A birthday party?
Yes. No. Yes.
Not all the children had the patience to sit idle and wait for the party to get underway. These children took to a game of table tennis and were quite excited about it.
I'm playing.
Playing what?
A game.
What's the name of the game?
Table tennis.
You don't know?
Table tennis.
Table tennis. Wow. Robert, what's today? Do you know what today is?
Yes.
What's today?
Boxing Day.
Boxing Day. What do you understand by Boxing Day?
Like this.
That means fighting.
Yes.
The children did not hesitate to have their own share of a Christmas carol.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
The atmosphere at the New Life Nungwa Children's Home was hyper. The party had already started, and the over 70 kids in this home were having the time of their lives. The children were busy enjoying a game of musical chairs. A few of the children were, however, quick to tell us what this day means.
What does today mean? Today is 26th December, it's Boxing Day.
Boxing. And we must
prepare something for our friends. We must make gifts for our friends.
It's gift sharing.
So far, have you received any gift?
And they took the opportunity to send well wishes to the father of the home and the organizers of the day.
I want to say a very big thanks to them, and God bless them. Anywhere they got these things from, we really enjoy it. And to our dad, we want to say a very big thanks to him for taking good care of us.
Yeah, I want to wish my mom a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and my friends and loved ones and families, and the daddy who is taking care of us here. I want to wish all of them Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. May God protect them and grant them all their heart's desires.
The children sent out heartfelt pleas to philanthropists and organizations to help the home complete this 3-story building, which will serve as a dormitory.
You're watching GH News on GH1 TV. My name is Ridwan Karim Dini Osman. Let's move to some other stories. Food shortages, hunger, starvation, and food security are not new issues in Ghana or elsewhere on the African continent. Now, what is notable, however, is the fact that Xmas food wastage, a crucial component of the food security agenda, has not been given as much attention as food production or hunger management. In the following report, the news team explores the phenomenon of food wastage, especially around the season. Globally, about 1.3 billion tons, or 1/3 of all food produced for human consumption, are lost before they reach the market or the consumer annually. This is enough to feed all the undernourished people in the world. In sub-Saharan Africa, home to more than 230 million people suffering from chronic undernourishment, 30 to 50% of the food produced is lost at various points along the value chain. It is an undeniable fact that Christmas is a time of gathering around a table, indulging in comfort food classics and eating to your heart's content. But unfortunately, the joy of eating is usually followed by loads of leftovers landing in the garbage bin. In 2013, the charity organization Chefs for Change Ghana Foundation carried out a study into waste in the food supply chain and its economic and environmental effect. At the end, the organization concluded that more than 25% of food in Ghana goes uneaten. So why do Ghanaians waste food, especially around the season?
Some buy with the purpose of sharing, but others who maybe just want to show off. Yes.
And so how are you ensuring that this season you will not waste food?
Making accounts of what you really need before you buy it, and yeah.
You know it's Christmas. Whether you cook plenty or not. As I've bought this 10 cedi cassava, 5 cedi, we are 6 in number going to use it. So you go according to what the number of people that you are going to cook for. So it's not going to go waste at all.
So you think your calculation is on point?
Perfect.
When it comes to Xmas food waste, experts suggest that planning can cut the cost of Christmas as well as the waste produced. Sadly, however, a lot of Ghanaians do impulse buying as they shop for groceries and other ingredients during the Yuletide.
I think it's a normal thing that people don't really see it as something that is coming and then they are supposed to maybe draw a budget towards it.
So you don't have a budget for Christmas?
No, really, I myself, I don't.
So you spend anyhow?
I just spend.
So far, how much have you spent?
Oh, I can't really. I just checked and then it looks as if I'm spending like 800 almost already.
Okay. I can't actually draw a budget because maybe you spend more than what you have planned to spend. So I can't.
You don't draw budget for Christmas?
No, I don't.
So you come to the market and you spend anyhow?
Anyhow.
But that will cost you, and also you might end up buying more than you need.
Okay, let's say you've drawn that you spend 500 for Christmas. So it will not exceed that 500 that you've planned to spend. So maybe that's the only budget I can say I've drawn for Christmas.
Whatever the case may be, always remember that there are salient financial and health reasons to think about the amount of food you throw away. What if the food you threw away or did not use was gathered up and given to those who did not have enough? Just think about it. The Karachi East District Assembly in the Volta region is re-strategizing following its poor performance at this year's District League table. The Karachi East District placed 216th on this year's District League table. The District League table is tabulated in collaboration with the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, UNICEF Ghana, and the Ghana Center for Democratic Development.
Introduced in 2014 as a social accountability tool that ranks Ghana's 216 MMDAs by their level of development and service delivery. Based on consultations with the ministries and agencies concerned, the District League table uses indicators from 6 key sectors, namely health, education, sanitation, water, governance and security, to compile a single score for each assembly. The Karachi East District performed poorly in the area of sanitation. This has compelled the Assembly to re-strategize to improve upon sanitation in the various electoral areas in the district. The decision to re-strategize took place at the last general meeting of the Assembly held at Tambai, where all the Assembly members resolved to support to improve sanitation in the district.
What we put in place is we have asked that our health inspectors should conduct proper education to sensitize the people, the people, and to educate them how to keep their areas clean.
Some of the Assembly members also highlighted what they intend to do to improve sanitation in their respective areas. Project Director of Afram Plains Development Organization, David Sule, outlined what could be done to improve sanitation in the district, especially the provision of toilet facilities at homes.
When I saw the National League table, in fact, I was embarrassed because I was asking myself questions. What are we doing in Karachi East that we are placed last in the whole country? And in fact, if you look at the challenge or the maintenance is basically based on sanitation activities.
It is a disgraceful to the entire district when this new scheme.
You're watching GA Today News on GH1 TV. We'll be back with business. In business this morning, Boxing Day is traditionally an alms-giving day, but for traders at Makola Market, business must still go on. Our reporter Dela Michelle was at the Makola Market yesterday to assess how businesses were faring on Boxing Day.
All our cherished customers, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Today is a Boxing Day. And we're doing a little sales, a reduction sale, which is not very bad. It's moving a lot. Give them an affordable price so that people that don't have enough money to come into the shops can purchase. We've got a lot outside there. People are buying, they are patronizing.
26, I expect a lot because during the other year we used to sell on 25th, 26th up to 31st. But it seems this year the market has been dull to all of us.
If you're supposed to make some money, if you're supposed to go home, how much do you wish to go home with?
At least 10 million is okay because it's Christmas time. you need to give someone and you have to celebrate it to your loved ones. So 10 million is okay.
We know you say about one say market no afina na namba the market no hiti papa me say ready say and 26 bronya no na e wo mu no to me say ready say before say be pon no ono ade open no fama ye
oh and 26 say ready adoma ye ti ase die aye bedro mu de at least menya 6 million cry is okay.
This year no, as a market no from kakra, but your bomb is 26 years. If you are in your shade, until now I say ba near Nyam Bay, ye be near the coffee, sir. Madam, 100 million no go.
With a few days to the new year, financial analysts are calling on individuals to start planning the year ahead to ensure they do not run into financial difficulties. A financial analyst and head of pensions at Beige Group, Richmond Frimpong, tells GH1 Business a clear breakdown of spending and investments in the year 2018 could help individuals achieve financial security in the new year.
You can have an emergency fund. That is to say that you can invest in a fund that matures in a year or less, and that fund sponsors every short-term expenditure you have, so you don't disturb investments you have that are meant for the long term or the medium term. So ideally you must start with an emergency fund. So any money market instrument or any fixed term instrument that matures in a year or less, you buy some. Then you plan also for the medium term. Here, you look for mutual funds that have balanced composition of asset allocation. That is to say that it should be a fund that combines long-term securities and short-term securities to give you a blend. So maturity is around 3 years, 4 years, and you cash in on that also. And then ultimately, you must make investment into long-term investment, which might be stocks or equity mutual funds, so that by the time the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years is due, you would have prepaid your future expenses. And I think that the best time to do this is to begin the year 2018 with the same. So I would want to advise, as I wish our viewers a happy new year, to take an investment decision. It doesn't matter how small it may be. Even if it's a cedi, it can be $1 million tomorrow, especially if you did it with a very good financial institution.
You're watching GA Today News on GH1 TV. My name is Ridwan Karim Dini Osman. Let's now move to the international front, where medical evacuations have begun in a rebel-held suburb of the Syrian capital, Damascus. The Red Cross has said. In a tweet, it said that critical patients were being moved from the eastern Ghouta area to the capital. Last week, a UK charity said President Bashar al-Assad has been considering a request to evacuate 7 children with cancer from the area, which has been under government siege for 4 years. They are among more than 130 children needing urgent medical treatments there. Nearly 12% of children in eastern Ghouta, which has a total population of 400,000, are suffering from acute malnutrition, the UN has said. We'll bring you the weather update. And I'll wait for today's edition of the news broadcast. My name is Ridwan.